Hi everyone, I'm Paul, and today I'm excited to delve into the topic of economic incentives of Ethereum staking. To provide some context, I'm a co-founder at OpenBlock, where we work on data-driven incentive modeling. Our platform has facilitated over $1 billion in incentive allocation for leading protocols. So today I'll be drawing upon some of the insights gleaned from our work to shed some light onto Ethereum staking. So the agenda of the presentation will go as follows. First, we'll examine the current state of Ethereum staking. Next, we'll pinpoint key factors that are likely to influence stake in the next 1 to 3 years. Finally, we'll showcase a sample model and simulation engine that we've crafted to forecast staker behavior. So currently, there are around 30 million ETH staked, or approximately 1/4 of the current ETH supply. More importantly, as shown on the graph on the right, the ETH stake has been increasing at a steady rate since the inception of the beacon chain. And to understand why this trend is important, we have to kind of zoom out and look at the two main use cases of holding ETH. First, we can bucket ETH holders into investors who are speculating on ETH price and maybe there for additional yield in the form of staking. And secondly, there are users of the Ethereum blockchain who are holding ETH in order to make transactions. And if the stake ratio of ETH is too high, then the users of Ethereum who are holding ETH for transacting, they're effectively getting diluted away. And that takes away from what is known as the moneyness of ETH. Another concern with this trend is the concentration of liquid staking tokens. So Lido, for instance, is reaching around 1/3 of total stake, and they've exhibited a Pareto improvement on properties of staking. So for instance, they're able to provide a lower cost to hold and increased moneyness, tax benefits as holding and selling a liquid staking token. It can be taxed as capital gains in certain jurisdictions. Economies of scale in supporting infrastructure such as running MEV boost clients and missing fewer slots. And finally, liquidity where there isn't a 32 ETH minimum to stake. There are also network effects within the DeFi liquidity ecosystem that provide LST holders with a number of other opportunities to earn yield. There's also different newer forms of yield for validators, such as MEV Boost, and we're able to see that MEV Boost and other opportunities like that are able to gain market share quite rapidly. For instance, MEV Boost was able to capture around 90% of new blocks in a matter of months. So given the concerns outlined in the previous slide, the Ethereum community has started to formalize recommendations on a new issuance curve that targets a specific staking ratio. And in particular, many researchers argue that the current staking ratio is sufficient enough, and if we continue on the trajectory of increasing stake, that there will be negative utility to stakers, as I mentioned in the past few slides. So these discussions have matured substantially in just the past few months, so it's exciting to see real-time decisions around this analysis. So while there's a continued trend in ETH staking, there are a number of catalysts in the next few years that can introduce further volatility to the staking landscape. For instance, restaking ETH through protocols like EigenLayer dramatically shifts the risk-adjusted return available to stakers. Further, as the LST ecosystem grows, there are a number of newer opportunities within DeFi that also shift this risk-adjusted return. And this is concerning because this changes the opportunity cost of solo staking as the opportunity cost is increasing since solo stakers don't have access to many of these DeFi yield opportunities. LSTs have also gotten to the point where they are reaching this too big to fail status, and newer users entering crypto are maybe perceiving them as too big to fail, and this creates a winner-takes-all and centralizing dynamic. Lastly, there are a number of catalysts from traditional finance. The talks around approving ETFs can drastically shift the total amount of ETH staked. For instance, Coinbase today Coinbase in Q4 of 23 custodied around 15% of ETH in circulation, and if an ETF were to be approved on the Ethereum side, this could result in a much higher concentration of stake within certain individual entities if those ETFs were to also participate in staking. So these cases are not just distant hypotheticals. So in this OpenBlock dashboard, we're able to see that 2/3 of new validators are participating in restaking. And this is showing that within the matter of months, validators are taking this new opportunity and repositioning themselves on this risk-adjusted return. And very similar to the case of like MEV Boost, it's possible that over 90% of validators are participating in a fundamentally new form of staking. And the thing to note here is that the underlying incentive mechanism hasn't changed. This is simply due to like permissionless composability on top. The previous slide talked about native changes in the dynamics of native ETH staking at the validator level, but we're also seeing the dominance of restaking at the liquid staking level. So as shown in this chart, traditional staking through entities like Figment, Binance, and protocols like Lido have witnessed considerable withdrawals in just the past month, while liquid restaking tokens like EtherFi and Renzo have exhibited large deposits. And we speculate that ephemeral incentive schemes like point systems and airdrops are contributing highly to the volatility and the mobility of this stake. And it's important for them to be carefully modeled, otherwise we can see that the economic security of Ethereum can be volatile in these cases. So now that we've motivated the importance of modeling Ethereum staking to forecast the volatility of economic security in the presence of novel catalysts, we'll look at a few factors at the economic preferences of stakers and the market factors that they may respond to. So we started by analyzing the relation between ETH price and ETH stake, and we found no meaningful correlation. And it was a bit surprising that even during drastic fluctuations in ETH price, there was very little changes in the ETH staked in the network. So then we next looked at analyzing the economic preferences of stakers in EigenLayer by looking at the contracts that they participated in after withdrawing from EigenLayer. And in particular, we can assume that these contracts offered a higher or more attractive risk-adjusted return for different segments of users. We were then able to collect data on the frequency of these withdrawals and any relevant information on the fees and incentives of the new venues that they're depositing into. So out of the opportunity cost we've analyzed, we found that looping on lending protocols, along with LPing on DEXs, were the two most common yield strategies. On the left, we formalized the looping strategy, and we're able to understand the distribution of yield earned by stakers in various market scenarios. So based on the economic preferences that we're learning from empirical staker data, we can run a Monte Carlo simulation based on a Poisson distribution to forecast withdrawals within a given interval. This is a fairly nominal example of a model and simulation that can be done, but it's meant to motivate the use case of using data to learn the preferences of agents in Ethereum staking and model their responses to simulated market dynamics. So to stay up to date with our latest research, feel free to follow us at OpenBlock Labs. Thank you so much for listening.